They get visibly upset when you talk about someone else. But the moment you ask, "What are we?" they shut down. They want to know who has your attention. They want to know who you were with. They want to know why you were quiet, why you were busy, why you did not respond the same way, why someone else made you laugh, why someone else got access to you. They may get moody, cold, reactive, protective, sarcastic, or suddenly more interested. They may act like they have a claim on you. But when you ask for clarity, consistency, exclusivity, or a real choice, the wall comes back up. That is the trap. They want the comfort of knowing they still have access to you without the responsibility of actually choosing you. And this is where you have to be careful. Because jealousy can feel like proof. It can feel like evidence that they care. It can feel like the hidden confession you were waiting for. But jealousy is not commitment. Jealousy is a feeling. Commitment is a capacity. And if someone has the capacity to get jealous, but not the capacity to choose you, you are not being loved into safety. You are being pulled into a loop where their fear of losing access keeps pretending to be love. This is one of the most confusing avoidant patterns because the jealousy looks personal. It feels like, if they react this much, I must matter. If they are bothered by someone else, they must want me. If they get protective, they must be closer to choosing than they admit. But the real question is not, are they jealous because they care? The real question is, can they turn that jealousy into a choice? Because an avoidant person can feel possessive without being available. They can fear losing you without being ready to build with you. They can dislike competition without offering commitment. They can want you emotionally available to them while still keeping themselves relationally unavailable to you. That contradiction is what keeps you hooked. If this kind of clarity helps your nervous system settle, subscribe. PsychBond is a daily decoder for psychology, relationships, and avoidant and anxious attachment patterns, so you stop guessing. Now, let us break down the signs, because this pattern usually does not start with a direct confession. It starts with a shift in energy. The first sign is surveillance without consistency. They may not offer you more time, more clarity, more presence, or more emotional safety, but they suddenly become very aware of where your attention is going. They check your stories. They ask who was there. They notice who commented. They notice when you are less available. They may casually ask questions that sound innocent but feel loaded. Who is that? Why were you out so late? Are you talking to someone? You seem different. You've been busy. They may act like they are just curious, but their nervous system is scanning for loss of access. They are not necessarily moving toward commitment. They are monitoring whether someone else is moving into the space they have been keeping undefined. That is why surveillance can feel flattering at first. It makes you think they are paying attention. They care more than they show. They do not want to lose me. And maybe that is partly true, but attention is not the same as intention. Monitoring you is not the same as choosing you. Watching your life is not the same as making a place for you in theirs. This is where the anxious nervous system can misread the signal. It sees jealousy and translates it as investment. It sees discomfort and translates it as desire. It sees possessiveness and translates it as proof. But the capacity filter says something different. If they can track your availability but cannot offer availability back, the jealousy is not building safety. It is protecting access. It is not saying, I am ready to choose you. It is saying, I do not want to feel replaced. Those are not the same thing. The second sign is reactive intimacy. This is when they become warmer, softer, more affectionate, or more emotionally present right when they sense you pulling away. You stop chasing. You become less available. You mention someone else. You seem calmer without them. You do not respond as quickly. You start living your life again. And suddenly, they reach. Suddenly, they miss you. Suddenly, they become interested. Suddenly, they say something intimate. Suddenly, they make you feel like the connection is coming back to life. But the timing matters. If their intimacy only intensifies when they fear losing access, it may be access panic, not readiness. It may be their nervous system reacting to the threat of absence, not their deeper self finally choosing the relationship. That does not mean the affection is fake. It may feel real. It may even be real in that moment. But real feeling is not the same as sustainable capacity. They may become warm because losing you activates attachment, but once access feels restored, the urgency fades. The closeness that felt like a breakthrough becomes another loop. They reach, you soften, they calm down, then they pull back again. That is the cycle. The anxious person experiences the warmth as proof that things are changing. The avoidant nervous system experiences the warmth as relief that access is not gone. And once the threat is gone, the motivation to choose may disappear with it. This is why reactive intimacy can be so addictive. It gives you the exact version of them you wanted, but only when you are leaving. It makes you wonder, maybe I just needed to pull away. Maybe now they finally see my worth. Maybe now they understand. Maybe now they are scared enough to choose. But fear of losing you is not the same as readiness to love you well. Panic can open the door for a moment. Capacity keeps the door open when fear passes. The third sign is possessiveness without responsibility. This is when they act uncomfortable with anyone else having access to you, but they still refuse to offer you the clarity that would make their jealousy fair. They may not want you dating other people, but they do not want to call it exclusive. They may not like seeing someone else around you, but they do not want to define the connection. They may react to the idea of losing you, but still say they are not ready, not sure, not looking for anything serious, not in a place to commit, not a relationship person, not good with labels. So you are left in a strange emotional contract that was never agreed to. You are expected to behave like someone chosen, while they reserve the right to act like someone undecided. That is where the imbalance becomes painful. They want the emotional protection of loyalty, but not the relational responsibility of choosing. They want the comfort of your availability, but not the accountability of exclusivity. They want to feel special to you, but they do not want to give you the security of being chosen by them. This is not a small thing. Possessiveness without responsibility can make you feel guilty for being free while still leaving you alone in the relationship. You start editing your behavior for someone who has not chosen you. You start feeling like you owe explanations to someone who avoids giving you clarity. You start managing their jealousy while your own needs remain unmet. And the more you try to protect their feelings, the more you may abandon the simple truth. If they want exclusivity, they have to choose exclusivity. If they want loyalty, they have to create a relationship where loyalty has a place. If they want access to your emotional availability, they need the capacity to meet you with real availability too. The fourth sign is subtle devaluation of anyone who threatens their access. They may not openly say, "Do not talk to that person," but they may make comments. They may minimize the other person. They may question their intentions. They may act unimpressed. They may make jokes that are not really jokes. They may imply that no one else understands you the way they do. They may make you feel like Giving attention to someone else means you are betraying something, even though they have not chosen anything. This is where jealousy becomes a control loop. Instead of moving closer with maturity, they try to keep your focus by making alternatives feel unsafe, shallow, or wrong. Sometimes this is conscious, sometimes it is not. But the effect is the same. Your world shrinks back around them. You start doubting other possibilities. You start feeling guilty for being open to someone who might actually choose you. You start measuring everyone else against the private intensity you have with the avoidant person. And that keeps you stuck, because the avoidant person may still not be building. They are just keeping the competition emotionally weak enough that you remain available. This is why the capacity filter matters. Once you see these signs, you have to stop asking only, do they care? The jealousy already suggests some kind of attachment. But attachment is not the same as commitment. You have to start asking a different question. Do they have the capacity to sustain a choice when they are not triggered by losing access? Can they choose you when they are calm? Can they choose you when no one else is threatening their place? Can they choose you without needing jealousy to wake them up? Can they offer clarity when the fear passes? Can they build consistency when the panic settles? Can they be responsible for the bond when you are not pulling away? Because if their only movement comes from threat, the relationship will always need instability to create closeness. You will have to keep becoming unavailable for them to feel something. You will have to keep creating distance for them to reach. You will have to keep activating their fear of loss to get the version of them that feels invested. That is not safety. That is nervous system gambling. You should not have to become a possible loss in order to be treated like a real person. You should not have to make them jealous to remember your value. You should not have to trigger competition for someone to act like your presence matters. The capacity filter is simple, but it is brutal. Jealousy is a feeling. Commitment is a capacity. Jealousy can happen in a nervous system that is still avoidant, unavailable, conflicted, immature, or afraid. Commitment requires the ability to tolerate being chosen and choosing back. It requires someone to hold desire, fear, responsibility, and consistency at the same time. It requires them to stop using ambiguity as a hiding place. It requires them to let the relationship have a real shape. That is why jealousy alone cannot be your evidence. Jealousy may prove they do not want to lose you. It does not prove they know how to keep you safely. Jealousy may prove you matter. It does not prove they can meet you. Jealousy may prove they are attached. It does not prove they are available. Jealousy may prove they notice competition. It does not prove they are ready for commitment. This is the part anxious attachment often struggles to accept, because jealousy feels like the confession you never got. It feels like the secret truth coming out sideways. They may never say, "I want you." They may never say, "I am afraid to lose you." They may never say, "I care more than I show." But when they get jealous, your body says, "There it is. There is the proof." And that proof can become addictive. You may start valuing their jealousy more than their consistency. You may start seeing their reaction as evidence that the connection is special. You may tolerate the lack of choice because their jealousy makes you feel wanted. But being wanted in reaction is not the same as being chosen in reality. A person can be jealous because your attention regulates them. A person can be jealous because your availability comforts them. A person can be jealous because your love has become part of their emotional security system. A person can be jealous because someone else having you makes them feel the loss of control. But none of that automatically means they can build a relationship. This is where you have to separate emotional possession from emotional responsibility. Emotional possession says, "I do not want anyone else to have you." Emotional responsibility says, "I am willing to show up in a way that makes choosing me safe for you." Emotional possession says, "I react when I feel threatened." Emotional responsibility says, "I communicate before I make my fear your burden." Emotional possession says, "Your attention belongs to me, even if I will not define what we are." Emotional responsibility says, "If I want loyalty, I need to offer clarity." That is the difference. And when you cannot tell the difference, jealousy starts looking romantic. But possessiveness without responsibility is not love. It is attachment without choice. It is fear without capacity. It is a nervous system trying to keep access without building safety. Have you noticed they only get close right after you start to pull away? Pause there, because that question tells you a lot. If the pattern is distance when you are available and urgency when you are not, their system may be responding more to access threat than relational readiness. They may not know what they want when you are present, but they suddenly know they do not want someone else to have you when you become less available. That is not the same as choosing you. That is the nervous system reacting to loss. And if you are anxiously attached, that reaction can feel powerful because it finally makes you feel like you have leverage. But you do not want a relationship where your only power is their fear of losing you. You do not want to be most valued when you are almost gone. You do not want to keep shrinking, leaving, hinting, disappearing, or making them jealous just to access care. You want care that can exist without emergency. You want choice that can exist without competition. You want consistency that does not require someone else to threaten your place. This is why avoidant jealousy can be so destabilizing. It activates hope and resentment at the same time. Hope says, they care. Resentment says, then why will they not choose me? Hope says, they are afraid to lose me. Resentment says, then why do I still feel alone? Hope says, they get jealous because I matter. Resentment says, then why does my life have to pause for someone who refuses to decide? That inner conflict can make you obsess. You start replaying the jealous moment. You start wondering what it meant. You start asking friends, why would they care if they do not want me? You start searching for the hidden meaning. But the meaning is not always hidden. Sometimes the meaning is right there. They want access, but they do not have capacity. They want reassurance, but they do not offer certainty. They want your attention, but they do not want the responsibilities that come with being chosen by you. And that is painful, but it is clarifying. The fifth sign is that their jealousy does not lead to repair. They get jealous, there is tension, maybe there is a conversation, maybe there is a little closeness, maybe they ask questions, maybe they make you feel guilty, maybe they make you feel wanted. But after that, what changes? Do they show up more consistently? Do they define anything? Do they acknowledge the unfairness of reacting possessively while staying unavailable? Do they ask what you need? Do they offer clarity? Do they take responsibility for the mixed signal? Or does the jealousy just become another emotional event that passes without structure? This is where you measure capacity, not by how strong the reaction is, but by what the reaction builds. If jealousy does not build clarity, it keeps you in confusion. If jealousy does not build consistency, it keeps you waiting. If jealousy does not build exclusivity, it keeps you emotionally loyal to someone who is still undecided. If jealousy does not build repair, it just becomes another way the relationship gets intense without getting safer. Intensity is not safety. Reaction is not choice. Possessiveness is not devotion. And jealousy that creates no structure may only be another form of emotional re-entry. They feel the threat, they come closer, you calm down, the bond reactivates, and then nothing changes. That loop can last a very long time because it gives both people temporary regulation. They feel less afraid of losing access. You feel less afraid that you mean nothing. But once the relief fades, the same question returns. What are we? Where is this going? Am I chosen, or am I just protected from other people choosing me? That question is the one you cannot keep avoiding. Because the longer you confuse jealousy with commitment, the longer you may stay emotionally faithful to someone who has not created a faithful structure with you. You may stop dating, stop exploring, stop opening, stop letting other people get close. Not because you are chosen, but because their jealousy made you feel claimed. And that is dangerous. Feeling claimed is not the same as being chosen. Being protected as access is not the same as being prioritized in life. Someone can guard the door to you while still refusing to walk through it with responsibility. Someone can dislike the idea of losing you while still not making a real place for you. Someone can treat you like theirs emotionally while keeping the relationship undefined practically. That is why jealous but not yours hits so hard. It names the contradiction. They may act like your attention belongs to them, but they have not made themselves a safe place for your attachment to land. They may react like there is something to protect, but they still refuse to name what you are protecting together. They may fear someone else getting the version of you they have enjoyed, but still not step forward with the maturity to choose you. And when you see that clearly, you stop romanticizing the reaction. You stop turning jealousy into a promise. You stop treating their discomfort as your proof. You stop saying, if they did not care, they would not be jealous. Maybe they care. But can they love you in a way that does not keep you suspended? Maybe they feel attached. But can they build? Maybe they do not want to lose you. But can they choose you without needing the threat of losing you to activate them? This is where the capacity filter brings you back to yourself. A person with capacity does not only react to competition. They communicate. They clarify. They take emotional responsibility. They ask themselves why they feel jealous if they are not offering commitment. They do not make their jealousy your cage. They do not punish you for being unclaimed when they are the one refusing to choose. They do not expect loyalty from a relationship they keep undefined. They do not treat your freedom like betrayal, while treating their avoidance like self-protection. A person with capacity can say, I am feeling jealous, and I need to look at what that means. I cannot demand your availability while refusing to give you clarity. I cannot keep you in ambiguity and then resent you for not acting taken. I need to either choose or stop acting like I own a place I am not willing to occupy. That is capacity. Not perfect certainty, not instant marriage, not dramatic commitment. Just enough emotional maturity to understand that jealousy without responsibility is unfair. The avoidant side of this pattern often comes from fear. They may fear being trapped. They may fear losing independence. They may fear expectations. They may fear the vulnerability of saying, "Yes, I choose this." They may fear that exclusivity means pressure, obligation, or loss of self. But fear does not erase impact. If their fear makes them avoid choosing, and their jealousy makes them react when you are not waiting perfectly, then you become trapped between their panic and their avoidance. Too close, and they pull away. Too free, and they get jealous. Too available, and they feel pressured. Too unavailable, and they feel threatened. That is not a relationship structure. That is a nervous system trap. And the only way out is to stop using their reactions as the measure of your worth. Their jealousy does not mean you are finally valuable. You were valuable before they felt threatened. Their possessiveness does not mean you are finally chosen. You deserve choice before someone else shows interest. Their fear of losing you does not mean they are ready to love you well. You deserve love that is present before the loss alarm goes off. So when someone gets jealous but will not choose you, the work is not to decode every reaction. The work is to measure capacity. Can they choose when they are calm? Can they be consistent when you are available? Can they respect your freedom if they refuse to define the bond? Can they turn emotional reaction into relational responsibility? Can they stop asking for the benefits of exclusivity without offering exclusivity itself? If the answer is no, then their jealousy is information, but it is not enough. It tells you something is activated. It does not tell you something is safe. It tells you they may not want to lose access. It does not tell you they can build a life, a relationship, a commitment, or a secure pattern with you. And you are allowed to stop letting their jealousy interrupt your healing. You are allowed to stop handing over your freedom to someone who will not hand you clarity. You are allowed to stop making their discomfort the center of your decisions. You are allowed to stop proving loyalty to a person who uses ambiguity as protection. The final truth is this: avoidant jealousy can be real. It can come from attachment, fear, longing, desire, or panic. But real jealousy is still not the same as real choice. If they get jealous but will not choose you, believe the full pattern, not just the reaction. Believe what happens after the jealousy. Believe whether they build, repair, clarify, and commit. Believe whether their care becomes capacity. Because jealousy can wake someone up for a moment, but capacity is what keeps them awake when the fear fades. You are not asking for too much by wanting someone who reacts like they might lose you to actually choose you. You are not needy for wanting clarity from someone who acts possessive. You are not dramatic for noticing that jealousy without commitment hurts. You are not cruel for refusing to be someone's preferred option while they avoid making a real choice. Jealous, but not yours, is not a love story. It is a warning sign. And if someone wants the privilege of being jealous, they need the capacity to choose. If this helped your body feel a little safer, liking this video helps it reach someone else who needs this clarity. Welcome to PsychBond. You're safe here.